It is the SEC on ESPN, the 2013 SEC Baseball Tournament from Hoover, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham on an absolutely gorgeous day. The first of two games coming your way, semifinal baseball. Number 2 LSU, number 15 Arkansas. What a great way to get our day started. Take a look at the SEC tournament bracket here in Hoover, and you will see our game 2 will feature Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, the number 1 team in the country and the number 1 seed in this tournament. They've had to come out of the losers bracket. They'll take on an undefeated Mississippi State team about 30 minutes after this one between LSU and Arkansas. Well, this SEC tournament featured some of the top teams in the country, including the top 2 teams in the country, in LSU and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt number 1, LSU number 2. Kyle, what do you make of the fact that both LSU and Vandy have had to come out of the losers bracket?
Well, I think it just shows you the depth of this conference, which is what we talk about the entire season. I think there's certain conferences around the country to where you can clearly delineate the top 1 or 2, and you can almost do it every year. The challenge, and we see it when we come here to the SEC tournament every year, is it's 8 deep, 9 deep, 10 deep some year, to where if you get hot, especially you get a few arms that are hot, you can roll all the way through it. And I think we've seen it with both LSU and Arkansas in this one.
Well, Arkansas got LSU early on, put LSU in the losers bracket. Then LSU had to rally yesterday against Alabama in the 9th inning. After a Rafe Rhymes hit into a double play, Tyler Moore doubled. That would score Jared Foster, make it 2-2. Then Ty Ross would single. Moore would score. 3-2 LSU had the lead going to the bottom of the 9th. And that's when their closer, Chris Cotton, 3 consecutive strikeouts against the Tide. And LSU survives and hangs on. That was an elimination game. And when you look at LSU's resume, 50 wins on the year now, a school record 23 conference wins. This team is built for postseason play.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's the more that you watch LSU, I think the more that you see a few things. One, the depth is there, which you need to have when you go into the postseason. 2, they really defend, and I think that's a differentiator right now in the college game. Defensively, they're stronger than they have been in the past. We know about the offense. We know about the front line pitching. But it's those 2 things, those ancillary things, that have made a difference for Paul Mainieri.
And Paul Mainieri, now in his 7th season as the LSU head coach, won a national championship with LSU, feels this team could be the best defensive team he's ever seen in college baseball. Battling through a few injuries right now, but nonetheless, this is the lineup that he will throw out there today. Sean McMullen will lead things off again. He's been playing very well of late. Jared Foster will be out in right field hitting second. Bregman, Katz, and Rhymes were the middle of that order, as good as you can find.
Really good. And the other guy that I like is Ibarra. I think you get Ibarra in the 6-hole, who's a guy that offensively can do some things, and then you can hide somebody like Ross in the 7-hole that if he runs into one can hit it about as far as anyone in this tournament.
Well, if there is a team, though, that can shut down these LSU bats, we saw it in this tournament already once, it's this Arkansas staff, the best ERA in the country, Kyle.
We talked depth with LSU. Nobody has more depth on the pitching staff than Arkansas does. And we'll see a guy today in Randall Fant who sometimes can be the forgotten guy for Arkansas, and I'm not quite sure why. As a club, a 185 ERA, like Dave just said, that leads the entire country. 6 hits, no earned runs against LSU in the opener of these 2 teams, or the opener against these 2 teams here in Hoover. Now, the one thing to watch, they filled 963 as a club, but over the last month and change, that has moved up considerably. They've been a much better defensive team since McAfee has taken over at shortstop. I think it's changed the way this Arkansas club is right now because it allows that pitching staff to be even better.
Well, there's the guy that will have the duties today to slow down this LSU lineup, Randall Fant, and the numbers are impressive. What's his makeup?
Well, I mean, you got a guy who's a veteran who literally has pitched in almost every situation for Arkansas since he's been on campus. The control is outstanding. Really can pitch off his changeup and his breaking ball at times, too. So you got a true 3-pitch guy on the mound for Arkansas. Left-handed shows LSU a little something different there. But kid is not going to be wowed by the circumstances. He's pitched in just about every spot for Arkansas.
All right, well, we are set. Semifinal Saturday, the first game of the afternoon. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I've been here many years where it has been 100 degrees. Not today. Temperature's going to be in the low 80s. Just perfect to enjoy some SEC baseball among 2 of the better teams in the country. First pitch to Sean McMullen. Misses from Randall Fant. LSU has been very good in the opening frame all season long. That one inside just misses McMullen. LSU has outscored their opponents 52-19 in inning number 1 this year. McMullen, 326 on the year, couple of home runs, 27 runs batted in. Here's the 2-0. That one misses upstairs. And you're talking about a guy, Randall Fant, who's only walked 14 guys on the year in 56 innings. There's a strike at 3-1. There have been 4 extra inning games in this tournament. It has been super balanced. Low scoring, winning team averaging about 4.5 runs a game, losing team averaging 2 runs a game. 3-2 on McMullen, the designated hitter. Fly ball right side. Tyler Spoon will track it down. So after a 3-0 count, Fant answers back and gets the fly out. Well, this Arkansas team, if there has been something that's really been their Achilles heel all year, it's defense. And their defense has picked it up. Their first 36 games, 63 errors, Kyle. Last 20, they have kind of plugged up some of those holes.
I think that's the key for them, too. I mean, it's, you know that you're going to pitch, and they don't have a lot of swing and miss guys, at least from a starting standpoint, either, so that defense is even more important because the ball's getting put in play more. But what's changed is really up the middle. And McAfee's been a big key at shortstop. They moved Ficicella back over to second base. But this, to me, is a very similar team to what we saw from Arkansas last year at the end of the year.
Popped up Jared Foster. See if that stays in play. Jake Wise behind the plate will make the catch. Out number 2, Wise missed the last couple of games for Arkansas. He has been sick here in town and did not play the last 2 games. Back in the lineup today. Told his coach he felt better, felt good enough, and it's one of those days where he can get back there. You know, if it was 100 degrees like it normally is, I don't think we'd see Jake Wise.
There's not a lot of times you go down on the field with a dark colored suit when we come down here and don't just start sweating right away. It's comfy today.
Well, here's Alex Bregman. What a year he has had. The freshman out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hitting .385. Leads the conference in hits. Way out in front, 1-1.
There's that change up from Fant. That's the one thing he can do. You see it more against the right-handed hitters than the left-handers because it'll naturally tail away from the barrel. But in a 1-0 count, Fant will go back to it. Wouldn't be surprised if he back-to-backs him right here. Nope, going in.
And there's Bregman doing what he does. Base knock. The man finished 3rd in batting average at the end of the regular season. And a 2-out base hit. And that'll take us to Mason Katz, a senior. Has had a great season. He finished 2nd in the conference in batting average. Big cut, 0-1. Katz hitting .392. In this tournament, Katz is 5 out of 11. He's raised his average 4 points this weekend. That's fouled out of play. That'll be a souvenir. Hey, what? You know what's great about this event? Everybody gets to hang out with the players as they come into the ballpark. And Mason Katz, somewhat of a celebrity. Rafe Rhymes, young man, was chasing 500 a year ago. A lot of autographs, pictures.
It's got to feel like second home to these boys down there, too. I mean, they've, in the course of their career, they spent about a month in Hoover.
Well, Arkansas has been here for a long time. They wrapped up the regular season against Auburn and never went home. They've been here a long time. 1-2 with 2 outs. Bregman stands at first. There he goes, and let's see if he's picked off. Safe.
I like that base running by Bregman, and it's the key. If you get picked off by a left-hander, remember it's a slow move over to first, and a lot of times guys don't really pick it up on the mound, so it takes so much time to get the ball over. Watch Fant. It's still going to take a while to get the ball over, and the only chance that Bregman's going to have is to go full speed right into the back. The swipe tag from Ficacello. Remember, second base not Ficacello's normal position. Didn't quite get there in time. Momentum was taking him away from the bag, and even though Bregman slid on the third base side of the bag, Ficacello still couldn't get the tag down.
So now the 1-2 count with the runner in scoring position. Cats on the year, 64 runs batted in. Down in the dirt, got him with a strikeout. Fant not bothered by Bregman at second base. Gets a big strikeout to end the inning. So Bregman gets the base hit. He's left at second base. We've completed a half on semifinal Saturday. LSU Arkansas scoreless as we move to the bottom of the first inning. There's Dave Van Horn in that Arkansas dugout. Talked to him before the game today. Seems pretty confident with his club right now. Looks like they may have shored up some issues they may have had during the middle of the regular season. Dave Van Horn came so close last year to getting into that College World Series Championship Series. As we take a look at how he filled out his lineup card today, Joe Serrano, Matt Vincent, Brian Anderson, Dominic Ficacello hitting cleanup today. Tyler Spoon at 288, but been playing well here at the tournament with a 500 average. Jacob Mahan, Jake Wise, Eric Fisher, and Brett McAfee round out the 9 for the Razorbacks. The guy getting the ball now for LSU, Hunter Newman. Hadn't pitched a whole lot, but here's his opportunity.
Point average is great, but for Newman, it's the first true SEC start that he's had the entire season. Just his third start overall. A freshman that they're excited about the future for Hunter Newman, and the stuff is pretty good. Fastball's going to be 88 to 92. They see this kid as somebody that can be a future weekend starter for LSU, and I think if you're Paul Maneri and Alan Dunn and his LSU staff, pretty good spot to get him out there, because realistically, LSU's a national seed. They've already locked it up, regardless of what happens today. But now you get Newman in a spot like this. So if you got to turn to him in the postseason, which at some point you probably are going to have to, he's got a postseason type feel start. And we'll see how he does.
Well, Hunter, big boy at 6'3", out of Bloomingdale, Georgia. And the first one he will face is Joe Serrano, the DH. How about both guys leading off their lineups with designated hitters today? First pitch in there for a strike to Serrano. Serrano 287 on the year with a home run. He's 4 out of 10 here in the SEC tournament. Another strike. Arkansas finished up the regular season 18-11 in conference play. A couple of wins here at the tournament. They have 20 SEC victories on the year. Just a couple of days ago, this was a team that had an RPI of 48. Shockingly, had an RPI of 48. But they have crept up. There's a ground ball to second. See how Mason Katz handles it. Katz, another guy that spent most of the year at first base, but because of the injury to Jacoby Jones, who's still not available for LSU, Katz moved over to second base for the last couple of weeks. We had him in his second start at second base last week in the series at Ole Miss, and A couple of times had some miscues. Forgot to throw it around the horn after a strikeout.
Getting the feel of it now.
Yeah.
Much more comfortable. All the important stuff. You got to make sure you know how to throw it around the horn. Many times too, we got both cleanup hitters starting at second base. They've had to mix and match some things with both these clubs defensively. Shows you some versatility for both of them.
Matt Vincent looks at 2 strikes. Vincent 303 on the year, the center fielder out of Omaha, Arkansas. Three pitches, out number 2.
This fastball so far of the day for Hunter Newman too. Rares back, lets one go, 91 in a plus count. Watch the movement too, and it's the one thing to watch today when he gets over the top, like a lot of guys with that arm action. Allows that arm to really finish and extend. That's where you see a little bit of sink, and that two-seamer had pretty good sink there.
So 2 down now, and Brian Anderson will step in. The left fielder. First pitch, fly ball, center field. Stevenson tracks it, makes the catch. That'll do it. Good quick inning for Hunter Newman. Doesn't look like he's intimidated by the setting here in Hoover, Alabama. 1 inning is in the books. We are scoreless. Well, tonight at 8 p.m. on ESPNU, Oregon will host Nebraska. These 2 teams met in the regular season. Oregon beat Nebraska 11-2. We'll see if they can do that in the postseason as the NCAA softball championships continue. Ray Fryme's first man up. Tennessee and Alabama going in one of the supers right now in softball. Game 1 last night. Tennessee won that one. Florida hosting UAB down in Gainesville this weekend as well. Here's Ray Fryme. Boy, he had a tough day yesterday. Rafe has just been an exceptional hitter, but yesterday is one of those days. You get into 3 double plays. 336 average for the left fielder, the senior, with 4 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Looks at a strike, 2-1. There were some situations yesterday. Paul Mainieri could have bunted Ray Frymes, decided to let him hit. And, you know, I absolutely agree. I'm not a huge fan of giving up the out in certain situations, especially when you got a guy that swings the bat like Rhymes.
Not in the middle of the lineup. Not in the middle of the lineup, and I don't like doing it just with a guy at first base either. You get a guy at second base, you can push him to third with 1 out. There's so many different ways you can score from third base, but just the way the game is set up right now, not really in a spot to give up a lot of outs unless you absolutely have to. A little cutter right there from Fant, so he can cut it inside to the right-handed hitters, then two-seam it away when he needs to.
Well, here's the 3-2. That one does miss. For Rhymes with a leadoff walk. And now you got Christian Abar to step in. Here's the guy that you really think can maybe the unsung hero in this lineup at 326 on the year with 6 home runs. Abar, a big cut at the plate. Well, he answered the call. They were looking for a third baseman, and they went the junior college route. You never know really what you're going to get until these guys show up. But Ibarra has handled third base well and has swung a great bat this year.
Well, you said it. I think that's the question. A lot of times junior college guys, you don't know exactly how they're going to make the transition to Division I baseball. But you got Rhymes, who I know that they had some familiarity with, but you got Rhymes as a JUCO transfer and Ibarra as a JUCO transfer, who have been big parts of this LSU lineup.
That one misses, 2-1. LSU finished up the regular season the second best hitting team in the conference at 312. Vandy led the way at 319. Another one out of the zone. LSU very patient at the plate here in the first inning and change. Popped him up right side. Tyler Spoon will make the catch and Rhymes back to first base.
Number 29, Ty Ross.
So that'll take us to Ty Ross, the catcher, out of Naples, Florida. Ty, a big part of this club. Not necessarily had a big hit last night, obviously, or yesterday afternoon, but he's not in there for his offense. He is just a real leader for this club in a lot of ways, behind the plate in particularly. Fly ball on the right side again. Here's Spoon. Will make the catch. That's out number 2.
Kind of Ross and Wise are both that guy, to where when they run into one, there's some power, but they're in there specifically because of their defense. They can anchor the pitching staff on both sides. Both are veterans, so they've been back there plenty of time. And I think more so with LSU's offense, you can afford to give up a little bit more offense in that spot. Arkansas hasn't been quite as consistent, but still you get a guy in Wise back there with experience, and every once in a while can run one out of the ballpark.
Well, here's Chris Chinea will step in. He's playing first base today. Ever since the injury to Jacoby Jones has forced Mason Katz to second. First base not as stable. Chinea getting the work today, making his 10th start of the year. Pops him up. Third baseman Jacob Mahan comes in, makes the catch. So after a little bit of control issues early in the inning, Fant gets out of the jam. LSU leaves another runner. Moving to the bottom of the second. Ficacello, Spoon, and Mahan coming up. Great day to be at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. SEC Tournament Championship. They will take on Mississippi State, who won the title here in Hoover last year. Dominic Ficacello is off. Dave Neal, Kyle Peterson, glad you could be with us today for both of these SEC baseball games. Dominic back at second base today. Started the year mostly playing second. Some of those defensive woes that Kyle had mentioned, and they moved him back to first base, but back at second today. Not the greatest season hitting the baseball for Dominic. Sitting at 260. Big swing and a miss. Let's see where he has played this year. 23 starts at second. 16 starts at first base. Have been late this year.
I think Arkansas overall, they're a better defensive team when Ficacello is over at first base. They mix it up a little bit today. Jordan Ferris will not play at second base, but I think as the season goes on in the bigger games, you'll see Ficacello head back over to first. Another strikeout for the freshman who has impressed. I know he's only faced 4 hitters so far, but Hunter Newman already the second strikeout. That time a little breaking ball. Pretty much top to bottom. I mean, he throws it. It's more of a traditional curveball, not really a slider, but the break is still pretty tight and short. And that time, Ficacello swung right over the top.
So Tyler Spoon will step in. First pitch, fly ball right side. Jared Foster. I'll have to put the spoon down for a moment. The giant spoon. Could have been your cereal spoon this morning.
That's where we're going.
Yeah, that's it.
We got a few of them. Good. Just roll right through the metal detector and don't even blink. They won't say a word.
Spoon is retired. 2 down in the inning.
Wow. Say he was looking first pitch fastball. Lots of location in the swing. I mean, that's the old, all right, glad I got 2 more. First pitch breaking ball, so you can see Arkansas so far. They're not seeing it all that well out of Newman's hands when you see a swing like that.
Here's a ground ball. See what Katz can do with it. Picks, fires, and throws.
Every doubt.
Like he's been there all year. Mason Katz making the play at second. The young man has spent most of the season at first base. Last week, he's been honing his skill at second. this afternoon on ESPN News. Vanderbilt takes on Mississippi State in the second game of the SEC Tournament semifinals. The winner of that matchup will meet the winner of this game tomorrow at 4:30 on ESPN2 to decide the SEC Tournament Championship. Vandy, Mississippi State coming up 30 minutes after this one on ESPN News, and the SEC Finals tomorrow. Some Vandy fans here in attendance. Mississippi State will. Bulldogs, I will say this, they travel well to Hoover.
And they're not quiet either. They travel the bells to Hoover too sometimes.
Yeah, they'll load those up in the back of the car. Andrew Stevenson, the freshman out of Youngsville, Louisiana. The ninth hole hitter in the top of the order for LSU. Stevenson wasn't expected to get the start today, but some bad news for LSU during BP this morning. Line to left, but right at Anderson, he'll make the catch. But at BP this morning, the clubs here don't take BP at this ballpark. They go off to a high school. Some schools, some places go to Sanford University here in town. But today, a weird situation occurred with Laird as he actually at BP stepped on his glove, twisted his ankle, and it blew up. In terms of just the swelling, out of action today. Coach Paul Maneri disappointed. Obviously, he couldn't put him in, but says he should be okay for regional baseball.
So right now, if you're LSU, you got Laird, who will miss this weekend. We know about Jacoby Jones. But two pretty key guys in this LSU lineup that are not in there today. You definitely want healthy as you go to the postseason because they're difference makers.
Laird was supposed to hit in the 2 spot, so Jared Foster, who was hitting down in the lineup, got moved up to the 2 hole. Stevenson inserted into the game at the 9 hole. We're top of the order, and McMullen hits it hard, but Ficacello stays with it. Well, we mentioned Mississippi State. They have enjoyed their trip to Hoover the last couple of years. They've won 8 of their last 9 in this ballpark, but the best pitching duel, Stanek and Nola, 2 of the best in the country, went toe-to-toe earlier in the tournament. Stanek wins that one. How about Stanek over the last couple of years? 23 innings work against LSU. He's given up 1 run.
That's a guy to me, too. I mean, you look at the arms in this SEC, and there's been some great numbers throughout the course of the year, but I don't know if anybody's been better than Stanek. Within the SEC, he has matched up, and I know it's been Saturday starts for some of it, but still, Saturday starts are no gimme in this conference. Stanek has rolled through this conference and a 1.40 ERA overall for the year.
.86 against league competition. There's Ryan. I mean, .86 in conference play. That's getting it done. This is a outstanding rotation for Dave Van Horn. And Stanek could easily be the Friday guy. You talk about Saturday starts, but just in this rotation, Barrett Aston gets the Friday games.
Well, he was a guy, and we saw it. It was kind of typical Stanek the last few years to where he struggled early.
Foster with the base knock.
Second hitter. Bregman with 1 in the first, now Foster with 1 in the third. But when you look at Stanek, he's a guy who's historically gets better as the season goes on. He's never been that quick of a starter, and that's kind of what happened this year for Arkansas. They bump him to the Saturday spot. He gets into league play and literally cruises through the whole year. But they're so deep, you can throw Barrett Aston on Friday night. You can go to a bullpen on Friday if you need to, because you know most times Stanek's going to pitch you deep into the game on Saturday.
Lowest ERA in the country. The Arkansas Razorbacks have that honor. Facing this hot-hitting LSU club that had been mashing the baseball all season long. And this guy has been among the best at it. Alex Bregman was hitting over 400 just a couple of weeks ago. Hits that straightaway center field. Matt Vincent barely moves, makes the catch, and that'll do it. So Bregman is retired, and LSU leaves another. They've left a runner 3 straight innings. We're still scoreless.
AA Baseball Regionals.
First pitch swinging.
That ball is gone. Break to left down the line. That is a home run.
Well, base is loaded. Will keep you busy and keep you occupied.
Keep a lot of people busy.
The selection show coming up Monday at noon. The announcement of the teams. It's fouled off by Jake Wise, but bases loaded. Will highlight, keep you posted on every single regional that's going on out there. Kyle will be in the studio kind of breaking it down. I'll be out at one of those sites, 16 sites. First time ever, all 16, every postseason baseball game is going to be televised.
This one's going to be a blast. You have the chance to bounce people around the country to where the action is. We can stop on different sites for a while. Great new way to cover what really is the most exciting time of the year in college baseball.
Jake Wise will lead it off. Jake on the year, hitting just .211, 3 homers though, 22 runs batted in. And that'll be a foul ball as Jared Foster careens into the wall down the right field line. Now, this ballpark, for those of you wondering, used to be the home to the Birmingham Barons. This is where Michael Jordan played his professional baseball, right here in this ballpark. Well, the Barons moved this year. There's a brand new ballpark in downtown Birmingham, Regents Park. And so this park pretty much sits empty, and it has been in magnificent shape for this tournament. Job well done by the city of Hoover, getting this ballpark looking as good as it's ever looked for the SEC tournament.
I like this setting. I think it serves it well. We've talked about potentially bringing some fences in. Might not be a bad idea, but it's a big ballpark. 340 down the line. It doesn't go straight out. I mean, it goes out from there, 405 out to center. A&M didn't have much problem hitting it out of here, though. They came in and put a show on. Look at a comparison to Baum Stadium, home of the Arkansas Razorbacks. 20 more feet in right and left, a little smaller out in the alleys and a little smaller out towards center.
5 home runs hit in this tournament this year, 3 of them off the bats, or make that 4 of them off the bats of Texas A&M. L.B. Dantzler of South Carolina, the only non-Aggie to hit a home run. That's popped straight back. Jake Wise getting some swings in on a 3-2 pitch. Glad to see Jake back in the lineup. Came to Hoover, got sick, hadn't played a couple of games. And that one's a little bit low. Well, when ESPN says we are the home of college baseball, there is no doubt. Every single postseason game will be on, regional, super regionals, and of course the College World Series. And we've talked about the bases loaded. What a great way to watch a game. Get bases loaded on your iPad or other device. Keep up with all the other activity going on.
Still catch a game that's going on ESPNU at that same time, so you can have a little picture-in-picture work. And I think what's cool, this is my 11th year now covering college baseball for ESPN. And year one, it was the first year that we did super regionals at all. Had really just done Omaha and a few things during the course of the year. And at that time, it was pay-per-view. There wasn't a whole lot going on. There was no ESPNU. Look at the growth of this sport just from a visibility standpoint over the last 11 years. It's such a huge, huge difference, and it just keeps on coming.
Eric Fisher thought about laying down the bunt with Wise down at first base. Fisher hitting in the 8th spot, the first baseman, .222 on the year. He's got a couple of hits in the tournament, both singles. He will put the bat over the plate right now. Throw back to first. Oh, good throw, would have had him picked. Wise will take off for second base. Boy, they had him dead to rights over there at first, but an errant throw by Hunter Newman will get Wise down to second base.
You can see the movement of Wise. The first movement was out towards second base. It was a perfect move by the freshman. That front knee usually breaks when you see the base runner start to go. See that first movement by Wise? If the throw's there, he's absolutely out. Chenea drops the knee, just trying to go down and block it. He's trying to keep that ball in front of him. Chenea, most of his time is spent back behind home plate, so he's trying to get that body in front of it, bounces away. Now Wise out to second. Nobody out for Arkansas with a runner in scoring position.
First time Hunter Newman's been in any kind of trouble. He was cruising along. Retired the first 6 he had faced. There's the bunt. That will get Wise over to third, and Morrow makes the throw, so they'll get 1 out. But job well done by Eric Fisher.
And I have no problem with the bunt in that situation. Runner at first base in that spot. I don't like giving up an out to push a guy up to second base. You get a guy to third with one out, there's so many different ways to score it. Fly ball deep scores, and ball that goes to the backstop scores, and ground ball with the infield back scores, and even though LSU will bring the infield in at this point. But in that spot, even as you get down to the bottom of the order, I think it's a good spot to put it in. Especially when the value right now of one run, given the way that this tournament has gone and the way these teams pitch, there's a significant value just to getting one on the board.
So Brett McAfee will step in with Wise 90 feet away. McAfee out of Longview, Texas, by way of Panola Junior College. Popped him up behind the bag at second. Going to be a tough run. And Katz can't make the catch. Boy, that just didn't feel right from the moment it left the bat. And that will score Jake Wise from third, and Arkansas has a 1-0 lead. With the infield playing in, that was a tough run for Katz.
Well, that's a spot, too. Remember, Katz's normal position, he's not going to go out and get that ball very often. If he's going all the way down the line into foul territory. It's an easier play usually for the second baseman moving towards that way. But this time he's going to turn his entire back. Plus, there's not enough time for Jared Foster out and right to get there. So it's one of those situations to where Katz hasn't been there very often. And it's also not a play that he's forced to make when he's over at first base. Generally, the second baseman is going to get any ball that the first baseman has to go directly back to try to make the play.
So Arkansas strikes first. Boy, and once again, we've seen it time and time again. That leadoff walk just, it's almost more so than a leadoff single, but that walk somehow affects pitchers more than most.
Well, here's the other thing, too. And we talk about the value of a bunt and getting a guy to third base. So look at how much it changed over the course of what happened right there. You bring the infield in, so it changes what the play is right there. Then the ball's dropped, and you're able to score that run from third base. It changes the way that the course of the game is played. And there's value to just simply bringing the infield in, because a hard hit ball in the infield has a much better chance of getting through.
So top of the order now. Here's Joe Serrano, the DH. He grounded out to second base his first time up. And there goes McAfee. Here's the throw. I think it may hit him in the helmet. That'll be a stolen base for McAfee. His fifth of the year in 6 attempts.
So two things. One, the jump is pretty good by McAfee, but the second thing is you got a breaking ball to run on. So first pitch breaking ball here, second time around for Serrano. It's down in the zone, so it's a little bit tougher. You got him in the hand. That front hand when he was sliding in, got him into the hand or the wrist and popped away. If the throw's there, they still might have McAfee, but still easier on the breaking ball. A little bit slower getting the home plate. Ross has to go down and get it backhand side, so it's not as easy to get up and make that throw.
So Serrano out in front, 2-0. Hunter Newman, the freshman, in a bit of trouble right now. Nice job by Ross behind the plate. You know, you talk about the move to first, a little bit slow. Obviously just a freshman. I mean, those are things I'm thinking that summer ball, fall ball, those are things a guy like Hunter Newman will spend quite a bit of time honing.
I think you're right, but I also think that's one of the big values to be in a spot like this right now. Before you're forced into it when you get into regional supers and you got to put him in that spot. Now, game speed's different in an SEC game than it is in a midweek game. So you can replicate what he's going to see over the next few weeks because they might need him in a big spot. But when you play Arkansas in a spot like this, they're going to force you to do all the little things because that's the way that they play offensively. They're going to bunt. They're going to run in certain spots. Wouldn't surprise me if you get action again right here.
First and second, still only one out. Matt Vincent, the center fielder. He struck out his first time up against Newman. Remember, this is Newman's just his third start. First against an SEC opponent. The other aspect of this is double play not necessarily guaranteed. Remember, Katz hadn't turned a whole lot of double plays. He stands out at second base. Runners go. The double steal. Vincent gets it in play, but it'll be a foul ball. Boy, a little hit and run. How about the action from Van Horn?
In an 0-1 count, too. Not an easy one to do it now. Vincent in an 0-2 hole, but I think you see with Dave Van Horn, certain teams that maybe aren't as comfortable playing this type of a game. Arkansas is just kind of wired for it at this point. They still don't have a hit, but they've got a run on the board. You got two guys at first and second here with one out, and it's just some clubs aren't comfortable playing this type. If you got guys moving all over the place and you're butting here and butting there, Arkansas's not afraid to ugly it up when they need to. I mean, it's just their pitching staff is that good that they don't have to sit there and bang out 10, 11 hits a game.
Arkansas hit just .261 during the regular season. That was Vincent strikes out. Boy, was that a big pitch. We'll see how it plays out, but that may be the big pitch early in this game for the freshman Newman.
It was more the velocity that got him right here, too. It's a curveball. And I think they were trying to wrap it around his feet instead of throw it in this spot. Watch where Ross has to go out and get it just a little bit, but it starts off the plate, and I think ended up staying off the plate. Vincent trying to protect was just a little bit out in front of it. Now 2 outs, guys on first and second.
And here's Brian Anderson, a guy you want at the plate if you're Arkansas. Average at .344, flew out to center field his first time up. First pitch. Hit a mile in the air. Rafe Rhymes will track it down and make the catch. So if you're LSU, you got to feel pretty good. You got out of that jam. But Arkansas, no hits, but they pick up a run on a couple of LSU errors. It's 1-0 Hogs after 3. Fans at the ballpark all week watching some of this baseball, getting some souvenirs. Seen a lot of pickle games.
It's a lost art.
Not in my backyard. I promise
Just don't
you
see
that.
it enough, man.
As long as I'm not the guy in the middle, I'm good. There's a guy. Hunter Newman was in the middle of it last inning. The youngster got out of what could have been a really big inning for Arkansas. Mason Katz steps in. Boy, he almost went down on a knee trying to get that one.
It's a changeup from Randall Fan again, and the one thing for a left-hander, his actually cuts a little bit. But it does have pretty good sink, so it's going down and out of the zone. That's the key. Ideally, you'd like to move it away from the right-hander so it's moving away from the barrel. But you like sink over all of it. If it's sinking, it's going down and out of the zone. And even if there's contact made, most of the time it's hit down into the ground.
It's 4, 5, and 6 in this LSU lineup. Katz pops it up left side. Anderson will make the catch. 1 down. San Francisco Giants here in Hoover, Alabama. I'm going to guess that's his little league team.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the Giants. That's what I'm guessing.
I guess he's going to have brain freeze in about 10 seconds.
Oh, the good old days. Here's Rafe Rhymes. By the way, I'm just looking at my scorebook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pop-up outs, fly ball or pop-ups by Randall Fan. There's a ball on the ground. Mahan across the diamond, 2 down.
Third baseman, number 14, Christian Navarro.
Christian Navarro, the third baseman. He flew out to right field his first time up. Fan has thrown 48 pitches as we're in the 4th. That one misses. It's now 3-0. He's got a few 3-0 counts here today. He's only walked 1. That was Rafe Rhymes. LSU has left a runner in each inning so far. There's a strike. little bit up in the zone, and the second walk. This one to Ibarra.
Number 26, Ty Ross.
Now Ty Ross will step in, the catcher. Not a normal day for Fan in terms of ball strike ratio. 27 strikes, 24 balls. He came into this game only 14 walks, 48 strikeouts. Off-speed pitch.
Still has that one, though.
Yes, he does.
That's the difference with fantasy. He can throw it at any point. So even if he's not finding a fastball, which really from a location standpoint hasn't been great this so far today, the changeup has been really good. And when he gets in a spot where he's got to throw a strike, he'll go right back to the changeup.
There it is.
Now this is where I throw it again. And I think sometimes you get out there and you get a little bit too tricky on the mound. Guy shows you two swings like that, throw the changeup down and out of the zone again. If Ross gets it, he's not going to do anything if you bear it and it's down in the dirt.
Do you throw 3 straight changeups?
I used to throw 5 or 6.
Really?
Absolutely. Because to me, everything is gauged off of what you just saw. And if I just saw 2 swings like that, I'd keep throwing it until I saw a swing that was different.
80 miles an hour, fouled off into the seats. That one misses inside. It's 1-2 on Ross. A couple of hits for LSU, but nothing on the big board. Here's a ground ball, just short. McAfee will go to second, and that'll do it. So Arkansas leads it 1-0. We'll move to the bottom of the 4th. The road to Omaha will be there in about 3 weeks. Regionals, super regionals, and then the College World Series begins. Kind of a home game for my partner. Kyle Peterson lives in Omaha. That's the kind of baseball man he is. He just packed up his stuff and moved his family to Omaha just so he could be there for the College World Series.
That's dedication, huh?
Yeah. First man up is Ficacello in foul territory. Ibarra completely lost it.
You could see those arms start waving around. You knew Ibarra didn't see it. Bregman was about the closest to this one when it fell, and Rimes didn't have enough time to get there in left field. So off the bat, looks like it's going to be an out now. New life for Ficacello. Watch Ibarra. See when that glove goes up? You can see the sun hit his face, then the shade hit his face. Right in that spot to where if you're not shaded the entire time, but that glove moves enough and your eyes get back in the sun, you could lose that ball for a minute and not pick it back up.
This LSU team was so good defensively. Ficacello gets another swing. LSU led the conference in fielding percentage at the end of regular season at .981. They committed 41 errors. On the flip side, Arkansas committed 80 errors. They were dead last in the league in that department, but got better. Remember, most of those errors, 63 of them, all the way up until that last the meeting between LSU and Arkansas in Fayetteville. By the way, huge crowds for that series at Baum Stadium between the Tigers and the Hogs, over 10,000 every day.
So let's go back to the first time that you and I saw Arkansas together this year, which was in Tuscaloosa. And at that point, when we watched him, I think you go, okay, pitching staff check, offense similar to last year, defense new. And that was, to me, the difference as to whether or not it's a club that can go to Omaha and contend for a national title or whether they can't. To me, now they can. You defend the way that this staff is set up right now. It's a club that if they get hot, could make a run all the way to Omaha and potentially a run to have a chance to win the whole thing.
Well, Hunter Newman in self-defense helping himself out.
Just throw that glove up there and it might go in it sometimes. And watch sometimes the finish of a pitcher. I mean, to me, first and foremost, make the pitch. And ideally, you want to finish in a spot that you can field it. But that right leg kind of crisscrosses over the left leg, but still enough time to get the glove up. Get Ficcacello for the first out.
Here's Tyler Spoon. He flew out to right field his first time up and looks at a first pitch strike. Slow roller down the line, and that'll be a foul ball. Home plate umpire Jeff Head right on top of it. Well, that was close. Ibarra almost picked that up on the line.
I think he might have picked it up on the line. You know when you're watching tennis on clay and the guy goes out and points to the exact spot where it was? See the chalk that drags from his glove?
Dave Van Horn, who used to coach third base, now in the dugout. He comes out of that dugout and has a chat with Jeff Head just for a moment. 0-2 though on Spoon. Misses inside with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. Fly ball. Center field. Andrew Stevenson. He almost lost it. Wow, LSU having some real trouble with these fly balls today. Well, they call it the greatest racing spectacle. The biggest race of the IndyCar season returns to ABC with ESPN anchor Lindsay Zarniak hosting today's events. Ed Carpenter will lead the field to green. Which driver will enjoy a bottle of milk in victory lane? It's the 97th Indianapolis 500, presented by GoDaddy. Coverage begins tomorrow at 11 a.m. on ABC.
You ever been to that?
No.
That's one of the coolest sporting events I've ever been to, and I was in high school. But it is that's one of those kind of bucket list, just if you're an overall sports fan, to go see once.
It's hard for me.
Still got time.
I work every weekend.
Oh, here we go.
For about 10 months. Right, and I just had a hard time. You know, I enjoy what I do, but it's just hard to go see that.
I'm telling you right now, you got to go see it at some point.
Okay, I'm going to take a day off. Jacob Mahan. Around here, though, they're not big fans of the open wheels in these parts, buddy.
I've never been to a NASCAR race. You're going to kick me off the air now?
You should have never said that.
This is...
Mahan draws the walk with 2 outs. We're just down the road from Talladega, about 45 minutes away. Jake Wise now will step in. Jake, the catcher, walked and scored the only run of the game to this point. That one misses inside. That's 5 straight off the plate now by Hunter Newman. There is an empty bullpen out there at LSU. Not even any players out in that area. Hunter Newman has only given up 1 run, but hurt himself with a throwing error trying to pick off a runner. There would be an error back in the third inning. 2 errors by LSU. That would allow the run to score. And it's 6 straight off the plate. Hit him. Boy, he'd been going inside, and that time a little too far inside. So first and second with 2 down now after a walk and a hit batter. Not a good sequence.
It's not. Watch the pace of Newman, and a lot of the pace has changed when he goes to the stretch as opposed to the windup. He goes to the stretch, he's trying to be a little bit too quick sometimes, and when guys out of the stretch are too quick, that's when the arm just doesn't catch up with the lower half. So the lower half gets moving, arm lags behind, and every single time that happens, the ball's going to flare off arm side. So for the right-handers, into the right-handed hitters, for the lefties, into the left-handed hitters, because you don't have enough time to finish the pitch and really get extended.
So some action heading out to that bullpen of LSU.
So watch the bottom half, top half. Bottom half's going to go. Watch when the foot hits. Foot hits. Arm's actually not that bad of a spot right there. It's about where you want it to, where it's coming forward. Just wasn't able to finish it. Sometimes the stride can be a little bit too long. If the stride's longer, then you can't get out and finish it. Ball ends up high arm side. But to me, out of the windup today, the freshman's looked a little bit more comfortable than he has out of the stretch.
Eric Fisher now with a chance. Runners at first and second, but there are 2 down. Fisher sacrificed his first time up back in the 3rd inning. That one gets past Ross.
One of the other things to watch is how a guy misses when he's on the mound, and I think a lot of times it tells you what he's doing mechanically. If guys are missing to the side of you trying to throw the ball, usually it's a minor change. It's just something that you have to tweak a little bit. But that time, you can see where Ross was sitting trying to go fastball on the outside corner of the plate, and the freshman Newman pulled it all the way about 2 feet away where he was trying to throw that pitch.
That just misses. It's 2-0. There's a strike. Well, that's got to be a lonely feeling out there when you just can't find the strike zone, especially a youngster who's never been in this type of environment.
And the mindset a lot of times is just find the ability to do it with one pitch. It doesn't always have to be the fastball. That time he pumped the fastball in there. But if you can do it with a breaking ball or a changeup, just something to get that momentum back, it works.
Foul back. Now it's 2-2.
But after all that, pitch not going where you want it to, you end up hitting a guy. You look up, kid still hasn't given up a hit. And he's only down 1-0. And I know that the command has gone away a little bit. We're getting close to his 60th pitch, but Arkansas hasn't really squared anything up yet.
Ground ball to Katz. He'll charge, fire, and Newman gets out of it. Wasn't pretty with a walk and a hit batter. 1-0 Arkansas.
To win the
Arkansas Razorbacks have been kind of an enigma when you consider their record and where they were heading into this tournament in terms of RPI. They have jumped up to 30. They have 20 conference wins now if you count the 2 here at the tournament. This is a club that has been in discussion for hosting a regional. When you put all the pieces together, what do you make of this Arkansas
Yes,
team?
they absolutely host. And the RPI, The RPI is borderline garbage this year, the way that it's set up. I mean, it just, the way, some of the things that they're rewarding and some of the things that it takes away, and I understand the reason they're trying to make it more important to go on the road, which I understand. I think it's this year, I think it's a bad indication of what some very good teams around the country truly are.
Well, they won 7 of 10 series played this year. 2 of the 3 series lost were decided in extra innings in the decisive series finale. Ole Miss and LSU, those 2 opponents. 17 wins against teams in the RPI top 50. Chris Chinea with a base hit right off the glove of Ficicella. So a good start for LSU, their 3rd hit of the afternoon. Take a look at the SEC teams in the RPI, and Vanderbilt and LSU. I'm a little surprised LSU has a 6 RPI when you consider they're 50-9 and won 23 conference games, but nonetheless still among the elite. Any surprises in that batch besides maybe Arkansas?
No, where it gets really interesting, though, and it's going to get really interesting in a few days, is Texas A&M, Auburn. I don't think Kentucky has a chance to get in as an at-large, but A&M and Auburn and Florida, really, that 31, 32, 39 as to how many of those teams end up getting at-larges.
Andrew Stevenson lays down the bunt, the throw to second. They got him. How about the play? Mahan threw a rope to second base, and the play was made. McAfee covering the bag at second.
About the discussion we had with Paul Manera before this ballgame about this spot and plays that have been made already in this tournament against LSU when there's a guy on first base and a bunt is laid down. I think that foot stayed on just long enough. You can see the stretch right there, but Arkansas is wired to look to that spot even if the ball is bunted to third base, because if it's bunted hard, you've got enough time. Certain teams, if that ball's bunted to third base, the first thing you're doing is looking to first. But the thought process for Arkansas is if it's bunted hard enough, and for a third baseman, you can turn your body to where you're set to make that throw right when you get to it. Mahan gloved it, got it off just in time.
So top of the order, and Sean McMullen. That one misses upstairs. McMullen, the designated hitter, has flown out and grounded out today. You know, I know we're not in a day and age, by the way, when they reward you based on the old days when it was somewhat based, regional sites, on who would bid the highest and who had best crowd, facilities, etc. It would be a shame if Arkansas couldn't host, just simply the fact that it's such a great baseball environment. I mean, they'll get 10, 11,000 people in there every game.
No, it is. I think it's great for the game just to have it there. But the other thing is when you include the postseason, they've won 20 games against SEC opponents. 20. So 20-11 against the SEC, and that's not good enough to host. I don't believe it. I think Arkansas is absolutely a host.
Now, the other question I have, and we'll visit with Kendall Rogers here in a little while. He's a national college baseball writer, follows the game as close as anybody. But, you know, does this conference get 8 or 9? Is it Texas A&M, Florida, Auburn? Those, you know, I think you're pretty set on who gets in, but it's going to be a tricky decision if you only take one out of three between those 3 teams. Auburn with the higher RPI at 39 among Texas A&M and Florida. There's a strike, 3-1 McMullen. You look at the bids from the SEC, 8 last year. They had 9 in 2008. I think there's no doubt this is an 8-bid league. I'd be jumping the gun a little bit, but
well, I mean, you start to look at it. There's some absolutes to me. LSU, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, South Carolina are absolutes, and I think Alabama gets in. So there's 7. So then you start talking of the 3 that really are left. You go A&M.
Popped up left side. McAfee says he has it, and he does. Out number 2.
So you got A&M, Auburn, Florida. Florida goes 14-16 during the regular season. A&M 13-16. They lost the game to rain. Auburn goes 13-17. it ends up just being a coin flip. I mean, I would be surprised if it's a 9-bid league this year. I think it's to me, there's a better chance it's 7 than 9 just because there's no clear distinguishing factors between Florida, A&M, Auburn. I think if you got to give anybody the edge of all those, to me, it's probably Florida.
Now, there is one caveat to all this. Texas A&M, their athletic director, Eric Hyman, who used to be at South Carolina, been at A&M now a couple of years. He's on the baseball committee, so he'll have a chance to
it doesn't hurt.
to talk to a few folks before they show him the door when they discuss Texas A&M. I think Eric certainly will be all about the league, but you can imagine he might have a little extra thing, 1 or 2 things to say about his Aggie baseball team. Throw back to first. Jared Foster, by the way, at the plate, hitting in the 2 spot in this LSU lineup. He singled back in the 3rd inning. Popped up in foul territory his first time up. By the way, Arkansas's ERA in this tournament, .39. They've given up 1 earned run in 23 innings and change. And surprisingly, I'm not surprised about Arkansas's pitching, but LSU's been held scoreless in 26 of the 30 innings here in the SEC tournament. There's a strike, 1-1 on Foster. Brandon Moore getting loose. He's another outstanding arm for Arkansas. Pitch count at 66 for Fant, who really hadn't been on top of his game today. He's only given up 3 hits, but he's had a lot of 3-ball counts today. Had to work out of a couple of jams. Been better the last inning. But still 37 strikes, 29 balls. That one's down in the dirt. 2-1 on Foster. Gotten a few more ground balls of late, but still it's been a fly ball game for him.
In a fly ball park. If you're going to give them up, this is the right place to give them up because there's not a lot of them that leave.
Another 3-ball count.
These are the days, too. You talk about veterans and veteran presence. If you can get 5 on a day like this from Fant, and clearly he doesn't look like he's all that comfortable out there, but still hasn't given up any runs. That's what a lot of times will distinguish the really good staffs from those that are just okay.
There you go, the walk, first and second down for LSU. And Dave Van Horn making his way out, and he will make the change.
That's quick, and I think that's because who's standing at the
Brandon Moore. Tell you how good this staff is. There are 15 pitchers listed in the Arkansas stat sheet. His ERA of 2.47 is 13th.
One that's last on the list is a 325. More in there for the 22nd time, and he's a guy that can get you a bunch of ground balls. Again, a totally different look from Fant. So right-handed or left-handed to start, but he's a guy that'll come in and really rely on the 2-seam fastball. Start it in the bottom part of the zone and let it tail down and out.
Brandon Moore with 28 strikeouts and 43 2/3. First pitch foul. Bregman swinging away. Boy, Bregman loves to swing on first pitch. We've seen him a lot this year, and he is up there looking to put the ball in play right away.
See him clearing that front side too. That's knowing a little bit about the guy you're facing, having some kind of a scouting report on Moore right now, when he knows that if it starts on the inner half of the plate, it's going to end up on the inside corner and even off the plate. For Moore, I think you're going to force him to use the outer half of the plate. You need to force him to use the outer half.
Stays inside. 1-1 on Bregman. Alex Bregman led this conference in hits as a freshman. 407 average with 2 outs this year. And a base hit back in the first inning. Go back to first. Not in time. 1-2 the count. Bregman has 16 two-out RBIs. That's the second best total on the team. Ground ball to second. Ficcicello comes up firing. Bregman is retired. Moore does his job. And Arkansas out of a potential jam. 1-0 Hogs out in front. We're back at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium as the SEC baseball tournament continues. It is the SEC semifinal Saturday. LSU and Arkansas. Game 1 of 2. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State coming up. That's Kyle Peterson, joined now by Kendall Rogers of Perfect Game, National College Baseball writer, guy that follows this game so closely. Thanks for joining us, Kendall. It's that time of the year where everybody's got so many questions. Who's a top 8? Who's going to host regionals? Who's in the field? Take us, first of all, before we get into the big picture, your top 8 seeds. Who will host early on, and who are the guys that have the chance to host in the Supers?
I think the big thing right now is when you look at the national seeds, I think you've got 2 spots pretty much up for grabs right now. I think you look at Florida State. You look at Florida State as a team. They're in a dogfight right now with Virginia. They really need to get that win because you look at NC State. NC State's 2-0 in the ACC tournament. If they're able to beat North Carolina tonight, they'd be 3-0 in advance to the ACC tournament title game. So you look at those 2 teams. You look at Florida State. Florida State has the road series victory over NC State. And so I think one of those teams is going to get one of those, one of those 2 bids that are kind of up for grabs. And I think when you look at the last one, I mean, that's really up for grabs. I think you look at several teams in that mix. I think you look at Oregon. I think you look at UCLA, probably more of a long shot. You look at Indiana. And even though Louisville went 0-2 in the Big East tournament, I think they've got a chance to maybe be kind of a shocker or surprise team in there. So there are a lot of options out there, and we'll see what happens. Mississippi State here. I mean, Mississippi State's kind of a longer shot because of their conference record, finishing where they did in the SEC in the regular season. But even those guys, if they can win this tournament, who knows? Maybe they can slide in there. There's a lot to be determined, including Kansas State out of the Big 12.
You ever seen one of these years to where it felt like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, all right, here's your top 8. It's about the way it's going to be. Here's your host. It's about the way it's going to be. And then it feels like there's still 4 or 5 that are up for grabs.
Yeah.
2 on a national seed side. And the hosting situation is no different either.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think 2 weeks ago, I think all of us national pundits kind of thought that we kind of had about 7 of the 8 spots locked down, and the 8th spot in pretty good shape with Oregon. And then, of course, Oregon loses that series to Oregon State, and they've got some bad losses. They don't have really a marquee series win, so to speak, this year. But when you look at the host, I think it's interesting to see a team like a Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's playing really well right now. I think they've kind of moved in over the mix from Clemson in terms of that one of those last host spots. And you look at Arkansas. I think there's a dogfight right now with Arkansas, South Carolina for that last SEC host. I think if Arkansas can get their RPI in the 20s, I think they'd be a host. And you know what? They may still be a host at this point.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Kyle and I have been talking about it. It looks like Palmaneri making a change with his Hunter Newman, his freshman, who's really found some issues with the strike zone here the last
day. But if they win that Big Ten tournament, they could very well get one. And you know what? It's not one of those situations because, like Kyle said, there's so many teams in the mix for that last national seed. You really can't argue against one or the other. I mean, they're all pretty much kind of in the same boat.
You look at the new pitcher, Kevin Berry takes over for Hunter Newman, his 19th appearance, 2.35 ERA. A little bit of a jam here, nobody out, runner on first base. Arkansas still without a hit in this game, but they lead by 1. Joe Serrano at the top of the order lays down the bunt. It's fielded at first as Tyler Moore comes in to replace Christian Aya at first base. So Moore does the job defensively. And 1 down, runner at second base now.
We were talking just a minute ago just about the overall RPI formula. I don't really like it right now. I think that to me there's some gaps in there that there shouldn't be from a talent standpoint. What do you think the first year after there's been some changes?
I'm in complete agreement with you. I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. Somebody, with Arkansas, and you look at Maryland, for instance. Maryland entered this week with a higher RPI than Arkansas by a significant margin, and to me that's just silly. I mean, there's no doubt about it that Arkansas is clearly a better team than Maryland. And so, I mean, there's flaws. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Arkansas, even this week, you've seen some fluctuations with the RPI. I mean, for instance, even a situation like an A&M, for instance, they win one game against Vanderbilt and they go at 10 spots in May. I mean, that just seems a little bizarre to me.
Well, that's my problem with it, is there's no, especially with as tight as games are, and a ball that gets thrown away down the right field line could potentially push an RPI.
Oh, no doubt.
It's just, that to me is where the flaw is, that there can be that much movement based on one game, which we all know the way that this game is set up right now. There's so many more one-run games, and you know, at the end of the day, the margin between those teams that win 50 ball games and those teams that win 44, 45 ball games sometimes can be the ability to do just that. Do you get a bunt down at the right time or don't you?
I think the most important thing to me, from my perspective, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I really value head-to-head in conference finish. I think when you look at Arkansas, you look where they finished in conference play, you look at the fact they swept South Carolina on the road. To me, that's the most important thing. That trumps anything RPI-wise. I don't care if Arkansas's RPI was 44 and South Carolina's was 15. When you finish where you did in the SEC, where Arkansas did, and you swept South Carolina on the road, that should be the determining factor, in my opinion.
There's a strike to Matt Vincent. Vincent has had back-to-back strikeouts. Got an RBI opportunity here on a 2-1 count, only one down.
It's kind of, to me, it's kind of the same argument with NC State and Florida State. I mean, as of right now, if you were making the top 8 national seeds right now, how do you give NC State a national seed over Florida State? Florida State beat them 2 out of 3 on the road late in the season. You know.
The other thing, too, that I have issue with is I think that, I guess there's years that maybe it's a little bit different, but this year it seems to me that West Coast RPIs overall, not Oregon State, not Oregon, their RPIs are right there, but overall, to me, it doesn't necessarily tell the story of the types of clubs that those are. And I think part of it is the midweek games, they all beat each other up. So there's nobody running away winning 50 games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, one team we were just kind of talking about is Stanford. You know, Stanford right now probably a long shot, but, you know, if they can take that series from UCLA, they've got a chance to possibly get in. I'll tell you what, nobody that's a 3-seed or a 2-seed wants to see Mark Appel in that first game in the regional. So even a team like a Stanford that may not get in, you know, would be a scary team. And I think one team to kind of keep an eye on if they can get a sweep this weekend is Arizona. I'm always a believer that the defending national champion kind of gets the benefit of the doubt. You look at Oregon State getting in after they won the national championship. They got in despite having a bad resume. Arizona, I don't think they deserve to get in, but if they sweep this weekend, I think they're kind of one of those teams where everybody's going to go, wait, you know, how did these guys get in?
Oh, big pitch right here from Barry. And it misses. First and second now, as that one is well out of the strike zone. And Vincent wasn't biting. It'd be nice to see LSU and Vandy play once.
Yeah, how about that? That'd be great.
Yeah, you could get those guys. So let's set it up right now. Let's send Oklahoma as the 2 to Fullerton. We'll send Stafford as the 3 to Fullerton. Those
Rick
guys will
Vanderhoek's
match
already
up.
calling us.
Those guys will match up, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the phone's going to start buzzing right away. Those guys match up 4 days before the draft in the Open.
Well, here's Brian Anderson, by the way, with only one down. He's behind 0-1 on Barry.
It'll be really intriguing to me to see who goes #1 overall in the draft. I think I've seen those two guys multiple times this year, and both those guys kind of bring something different to the table. You know, Gray's kind of a, you know, not quite as established as Mark has been the last couple of years, but you know, Gray is a guy that, you know, sits in the high 90s late in the game. Mark is having a great year as well, so it'll be really interesting to me to see what the Astros do.
Foul back at the plate. Let me ask you about Vanderbilt for a minute.
Love their balance, and yeah, no doubt. I think they're definitely in the mix for the national championship. They're going to be a tough team to beat.
To me, you look at teams that you have a hard time poking a hole in. Vanderbilt, you can't poke a hole in them. North Carolina, I still think it's pretty tough to poke a hole in. LSU, you can't. Oregon State, to me, you can't. I know they got beat last night, but I think Oregon State is really, really complete. And to me, Fullerton's another team like that too. That's one thing that scares you with Fullerton is freshmen that started off, but those guys have been so good. It's just, though, to me, those 5 have been more, and Virginia, I guess you got to throw Virginia in the mix. Those 6 have been more consistent than I think everybody else over the course of the year.
No, Nate Yeske and Pat Casey are doing a great job of that staff up there.
Fly ball right center. Jared Foster on the run. He'll make the catch, and everybody has to get back. 2 down in the inning. Well, guys, not all, but many of the questions we have been answering.
That anybody does. It's how much weight is put on this new RPI system. Are there other things that get a little bit more attention this year than they have in years past? It felt like in years past, you're talking about, right, 2 or 3 spots from an at-large situation. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. There might be 7 or 8 of those this year.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing, too, is you look from a northern team standpoint. You look at Pittsburgh, eliminated from the Big East tournament. They've got 40-plus wins, the RPIs in the 60s. You got Ohio State finished one game out of first place from Indiana, but their RPIs in the high 50s or the low 60s. So, do you put those teams in despite the fact that they've got bad RPIs? I think it's a very interesting year. You're right, and even here in the SEC, I think when you look at Auburn, Florida, and Texas A&M, what an intriguing situation to see who gets in out of those teams.
Well, Dominic Ficacello is the man up, the cleanup hitter for Arkansas. The switch hitter behind 0-1 with runners at first and second. Arkansas still without a hit, but lead this one 1-0. Evan Berry out of the bullpen, battling through the heart of this Arkansas lineup. Now remember, Arkansas didn't exactly rip the cover off the baseball during the regular season. Team hit just .261. But when they got the kind of pitching that they have, I mean, a 1-run lead's been pretty good. Their team ERA right now in this tournament's about .3. There's a strike 1 and 2. Out straight back.
Big still got knocked out yesterday.
Stony Brook might have.
Can get Ficacello to chase one here. Fly ball right side. Jared Foster will move to his left to do it. Kendall, listen, so many storylines. Can't wait for the postseason to begin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, y'all be good.
Thanks for coming up.
Waiting for their souvenir foul ball. That one a little icy in the process. 1-0 Arkansas out in front of LSU. Arkansas beat LSU in this tournament earlier, forcing the Tigers into the losers bracket. They meet for the second time, and Arkansas without a hit in this, but they lead it 1-0. They had some help with a couple of LSU errors in the process. Dave Neal, Kyle Peterson. We are just outside of Birmingham, Alabama at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. LSU, the number 2 ranked team in the country, with their hands full with the Hogs. LSU won 2 of 3 earlier this year against Arkansas. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State coming up about 30 minutes at the conclusion of this one. Mississippi State is hot as anybody right now. Vanderbilt, the number 1 team in the country. Texas A&M blanked the Doors in the first game of this tournament, sending the Commodores into the losers bracket. Matter of fact, Mississippi State last year beat Vandy 3-0 in the SEC Tournament Championship game. They'll meet later on this afternoon. Mason Katz will lead things off for LSU. It'll be 4, 5, and 6 for the Tigers, trying to get on the board. Brandon Moore with the baseball for Arkansas, replacing Randall Fant. Cats on the year at .388. That one misses 3-1. That was pretty close, huh?
Where that one missed. Not exactly where you want to throw the slider, but it absolutely looked like a strike.
Missed, walked him. Leadoff runner on for LSU. Michael Gunn grabbing a baseball, getting loose, and that Arkansas pen. Pitch out, throw down to first, nothing happening. Rhymes, talked about it earlier. Tough day yesterday at the plate. Hit into 3 double plays. The last coming in the 9th inning, and that's when LSU put a rally together. A 2-out rally. They scored 2 runs and beat Alabama 3-2. There goes Katz. There goes Rhymes into right center. That will drop in for a base hit. Not that Katz needs any confidence, but that'll certainly help.
Well, to me, it's the part of the game I love the absolute best. And it's what starts in this at-bat. So Arkansas pitches out because I think something's on the first pitch of the at-bat to Rhymes. Nothing happens, so Ned Palmineri immediately puts it on. Says, all right, you're not going to pitch out twice. I don't think you're going to pitch out twice. Let's run him here with action. So it's a hit and run. It's not a great jump for Katz, but you don't need a great jump. He's off and running, trying to make sure you stay out of the double play. Rhymes put in a spot where they can't make the play, and now you get first and third with nobody out.
That's exactly what Palmineri said. The middle of his lineup is not going to bunt.
No, nor should they. I mean, not in a spot like that. You're going to run him with cover. Now you get a Barra coming up right here, still a chance to do something. But it's the little stuff in the game that you love. You get Dave Van Horn rolls the dice with the first one, pitches out, thinks maybe you got action the first pitch. Immediately when that happens, now you got action right after that.
So here's Christian Ibarra, the number 6 hitter in the lineup. First and third, nobody out. Rhymes at first, Katz at third. First pitch, big cut. Now behind 0-2.
All right, now with a guy like Moore, who really is a ground ball guy. He's not necessarily a strikeout guy. Now you start thinking strikeout. You get up 0-2 right here. Watch him bury slider. See if you can get Ibarra to be out in front and get the strikeout, because then, with his ability to roll the ground ball, he's still 1 pitch, 2 outs away from getting out of the inning.
Base hit left side. Ibarra picks up the RBI, and LSU has tied it up. RBI number 36 for Christian Ibarra.
I think he was trying to bury the slider, but you can't bury it bell high right down the middle. This is an 0-2 pitch, and watch where it ends up. Right in the spot where Ibarra can spin on it. You're sitting on slider anyway right there in that spot. You know you're probably going to see it. Caught way too much of the plate. Ibarra does what he's done pretty consistently all year. Good swing on it. Ties it up, and we got another pitching chance for Arkansas.
First and second, nobody out. The bunt laid down by Ross. It's a good one. That'll move the runners to second and third. So Ross executes perfectly.
It's a spot you got to put it, force that third baseman to vacate the bag so you can't get the lead runner out at third base. Ty Ross is a guy, too. We talk about offensively how he can struggle. When you ask him to put the bunt down, he can get it done. He's now second on this team in sack bunts. That's its 8th of the year. That time lays it down at a good spot. LSU second and third with just 1 out.
So here's Tyler Moore, who came in to play first base. There is Gunn, the left-hander with the baseball, making his 16th appearance of the year. Look at his ERA, .36 and 25 1/3.
Just keep coming.
There's a breaking ball there for a strike. It is 1-1 to Moore. Moore's first at-bat of the afternoon. He'll hit the 8th spot. Gunn, the sophomore out of Wilson, Arkansas. Rafe Rhymes is at third. Ibarra at second. 1 run is already in for LSU. A shot to short. Here's a play at the plate. Throw is low, and Rhymes is in there. Wise had to try to stop it on a hop, couldn't do it, and Rhymes, running on contact, made it in.
McAfee's got to go to first base on that one. I know the ball's hit really hard, but still, you're so deep as momentum's taking him a little bit away from home plate. And that time with 1 out, you're going immediately on contact, especially with the infield back. This ball starts to go down. Rhymes is off and running right away. It's a little bit of a low throw, but even with a perfect throw, I don't think they get Rhymes. Good hitting right there by Moore. You see the middle infield back, hit it hard there. It's going to score a run.
So runners at first and second now. Only one down. Here's Stevenson. He hit into a fielder's choice his last time up. Flew out to left. His first at bat. He hits in the 9th spot. LSU out in front 2-1. That run will belong to Brandon Moore. That's upstairs. 2-1 to Stevenson. He's a 181 hitter. Once again, Stevenson was about to take the day off, but Laird stepped on his glove at BP this morning, twisted his ankle, not in the lineup. So Stevenson gets the last-minute call. Fouled straight back, 2-2. I mean, again, another leadoff walk. And it just seems to me, Kyle, just watching this game so many times, that the walk is just different than a leadoff hit. For some reason, it seems to get in.
It is mentally.
Yeah.
It is mentally because you're out of the zone.
There's a strikeout. LSU fans didn't like it. They'll have to deal with it, though. Out number 2.
First strike.
Sean McMullen, top of the order. He'll step in. That one hops in front of Wise. Nobody moves. McMullen flied out, grounded out, popped up. That's fouled. 1-1 to count. Well, it's been a low-scoring SEC tournament. One of the lowest I can ever remember. The most runs scored in a single game has been 7 by a single team. The winning teams are averaging just a shade over 4 runs a game. The losing teams averaging 2 runs a game. Two and 2 on McMullen. Ground ball to the right side. Ficicella gets a good hop, throws to first, and that'll do it. McMullen is retired, but LSU picks up a couple of hits. They do score a pair of runs, and they have taken the lead. 5.5 in the books. Tigers up a run. As Will LaMarche gets the baseball, the junior out of Pleasanton, California. Junior college transfer, making his 23rd appearance of the year. He has worked just a shade over 22 innings, and he'll be the pitcher on the hill for the Tigers. First pitch, past the glove of Mason Katz, and a base hit as Tyler Spoon breaks up the no-hitter. And right away, Mahan will square up to Get Spoon down to second base, perhaps. There goes the runner. The bat's pulled back. Here's a play to second. They get the out there, and they get the out at first. How about that?
Here's the thing. I know it didn't work. I like that so much better than a sac bunt.
Right, just hit it in the absolute worst spot.
It's the one spot, other than the line drive. You had a line drive.
Here's Jake Wise, the catch. For single elimination games. There's a strike. A bye until Wednesday. That one just misses. Ground ball. Cats. That'll do it. Pretty easy inning for LaMarche. Out of the bullpen. LSU leads it 2-1. Well, tonight at 9 on ESPN, it's Game 3. Foster, Bregman, and Cats, 2, 3, and 4 coming up for LSU. A real battle last night, too, between the Heat and the Pacers. Pacers, boy, they are just a solid club. Winning on the road, even in that series, one game apiece.
Should have won the first one.
Yeah. Here it's a 2-1 game. Gunn, the third Arkansas pitcher, the left-hander, working the top of this LSU lineup. LSU has produced 5 hits today. A couple of errors allowed Arkansas to pick up a run back in the third inning. That one misses out of the zone at 88 miles an hour.
Fastball from Dunn right there, 88 miles an hour, but even had a little bit of cut. The last move moving in on the hands of the right-hander.
Boy, Foster stayed back on that one. Delivers the base knock to center field. Bregman now with an opportunity. He's 1 for 3. Bregman 5 homers on the year. Going old school, no batting gloves. Just give me the bat and I'll hit.
That's what he does with that top hand to the bottom hand. See that finger kind of like a golf grip.
First pitch swinging again for Bregman. Fly ball to center field. And he golfed that one out to center field. That'll be one down. Doesn't get much easier, though, for Gunn. Now it's Mason Katz. Struck out, flied out, and walked and scored the opening run of the game for LSU. Katz had that little slump in April. End of April, beginning of May, but he is tearing it up again. 422 in the month of May. But March was his month, boy. 11 home runs. He went 90 at-bats between home runs. And he picked up a home run the last series against Ole Miss, the last regular season series, to snap that 90 at-bat homerless streak. We asked him about it after the game. You and I were there. And he says, you know, he didn't know it was exactly 90, but he knew it was a long time.
He almost seemed relieved,
yeah,
which is understandable. And you know, look at the lack of RBIs. I think sometimes RBIs can be not somewhat, a lot of an anomaly. I mean, you're totally dependent upon everybody else as to where they're at. But to me, I'm impressed with the way he swung the bat over the last month, even though the power hasn't necessarily been there, the consistency has.
Three and one to count to Katz. Rafe Rhymes is on deck.
Gun thinking what I'm thinking. I would bet that Foster's off and running right here. It's a little bit tougher against a left-hander because you can't go on first movement. You want to make sure that you don't get picked off, but you're also counting on Katz putting a strike in play.
Check swing down the line, and that might have been the longest hit check swing I've seen.
That's a deep fly ball today.
So now it's full of 3-2. Mississippi fans making their way to the ballpark. There's a parking lot over the left field, a secondary parking lot over the left field fence. And when that thing fills up, you know you're going to have a great crowd, and that's been the case this afternoon. A huge crowd here at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. Runner goes to throw it down to second. Hit him in the back. So Foster will wind up at third. Katz strikes out. You could tell Katz didn't want to swing at that, but it was a hit and run. It was way out of the strike zone.
Well, you can see what it does too is it forces Wise to wait back. So just the swing itself changes what the catcher's going to do. Watch the swing and watch Wise. Oh, he's got a hand bat just a little, so the bat's going to hang out there, and Wise. You know, and that's one as a catcher, I think if you do it again, to where if you go through your full motion, you could probably get an interference call right there. But he didn't move his feet. The feet stayed. When he doesn't go through and release the way that he normally would, there's no call.
Katz strikes out for the second time today, and now it's Rafe Rhymes. He looks at a first pitch strike. Foster 90 feet away now, but there are two out in the inning. LSU trying to score in back-to-back innings for the first time in this tournament. I have Rhymes at the plate, hitting .338 now. Singled his last time up. There's a strike, 1-2. I told you, not a whole lot of offense in this tournament. Pitching has been exceptional. Part of it the fact that some of the wind has been taken out of the bats, the sails, if you will, and a lot of talk about maybe changing things up. Good catch by Wise.
That's a heck of a play. That's a heck of a play by Wise, because that ball left Gunn's hand. There's no way that I thought that ball was going to avoid going to the backstop. Watch where he's setting up and where he has to go. Sitting down and in, the ball ends up and away, and when it goes to that spot, it's going to tail even more. So from a left-hander, it's going away from Wise even more. Just toss that glove up there and made the play.
2-2, stays upstairs, 3-2, but you know, one of the things that you've heard so much about changing maybe a little offense in this game is the baseball. Keep the bats the same, change the baseball up a little bit, maybe bring the fence in a little bit. See Rhymes with that .478 career average. Ibarra is on deck. That's down in the dirt. That'll be ball 4. Dave Zorn, the pitching coach of Arkansas, on the way out to the mound to talk to Mr. Gunn. Well, you know, the other aspect of that is, guys, you'll find out who the real pitchers are, the guys that can really spin a baseball. If you go to the minor league ball, it doesn't have the high seams. I think that could have a difference, too.
Well, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's one is how far the drag when it gets up in the air, but the other is just the ability to move it around when you're on the mound. It's, I mean, I remember we made the jump and the thing's just naked all the way around.
That misses outside to Ibarra. It's 1-2. I just think something needs to be done. We just got to get a little bit more pop. Not much, but just a little.
It's the most non-invasive way to make what I think would be a big necessary change.
Diving catch. Vincent can't come up with it. One run is in, and Rafe Rhymes was confused. He was hung up at second base. I was looking for him coming around. Eliminated this if Super Regional against Michigan, and they end up losing on a walk-off homer. David Price hadn't given up a home run all year. He comes in relief in the 9th inning and serves one up to Michigan. dead center field, and the Wolverines go to Omaha. And one of the best teams in SEC history didn't get to go. Behind 0-1, runners at second and third. Slider in there. 1-2. That misses inside. He is the fourth Razorback. That's fouled at the plate. We'll do it again. Ballpark for the SEC. Here's a chopper. Nice job. Good thing he's 6'4" by Oliver. And how about the pick at first base by Fisher? Well, Kyle will move to the bottom of the seventh here. 3-1 our score. LSU out in front. Coach Van Horn says he's been swinging the bat pretty well. Wanted to get him in the lineup. The 2-2. Little blooper to left. Rhymes coming in. He'll make the catch. That's foul. And LSU put 2 on the board in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. First time that. Slider misses. 2-2. Got it. 2 down.
Little stuff behind the plate that makes a huge difference. Standpoint, the catchers have the ability to really receive, and those that don't. I mean, it's a novel. You got to take about an hour.
The 2-1. That misses. Have him back for regional play. Mark Laird twisted an ankle today. He's done for the tournament. Popped him up behind the bag. Who's going to make the play? Bregman says he has it, and he does. That'll do it. Just an awesome day to be at the ballpark. The weather is outstanding. The baseball, maybe even better. All the kids having a good time, even KP. What do you got there? Let's go take on some of those guys in wiffle ball.
To win the
Our game summary. Total of 8 hits, but 7 of them go to LSU. They picked up 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. A couple of errors by the Tigers in the 3rd allowed Arkansas to plate their lone run. Christian Ibarra, a couple of big hits today for LSU in that 6th spot in the lineup. Here's Tyler Moore. He will step in. Tyler hitting in the 8th spot. And Stevenson, redshirt senior out of Bryan, Arkansas. Ground ball to short. Safe at first.
Spin the order around, get the top of the order to come up.
Strikeout. Stevenson lays the bunt down. Plays over to first.
Throw to first. You can see a couple hops. He made the right decision. But still, you don't have the choice to do that if your feet aren't in.
Sean looking for his first hit today. That would miss. 9th inning, both with 2 outs. And they turned it over to Chris. 3-1 on McMullen. And misses ball 4. He walks. Record on the year. Well, we are in a 3-1 ball game. It all started back in the 3rd inning.
error that really got things going. Arkansas ends up scoring a run without getting hit. A leadoff walk to Jake Wise. He comes around to score, but that would be it so far offensively for Arkansas. Then LSU came back. Christian Ibarra with the RBI. Then later on, a ground ball that's questionable decision by McAfee. That run's going to score anyway. Really didn't do any more damage in that inning. And again, Ibarra with another double. He's the guy I think is still sometimes unsung in this. Rhymes probably should have scored on this. Missed second base, had to go back, but it pushed another one across. So a couple of RBIs for Ibarra, 3 runs total. And here's how the SEC baseball tournament looks as of now. The winner of this one advances to the championship. The winner of our next game, Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, will be there waiting for him. Tomorrow the final on ESPN2, 4:30 Eastern. Look, change this year. The regional selections come out later than they have in the past, so we want to have the ability to go through those at all on the air. They'll come out after action is done tomorrow, and then the selection show noon Eastern on Memorial Day.
16 regional sites. There will be 8 national seeds announced and 64 teams in the field. Those are the numbers you need to know. And the other number, every single game to be televised somewhere on ESPN's platforms.
We used to like bases loaded when I was on the mound. Bases loaded is
Now you
kind of
love
fun this year. This will be all right.
Chris Schomburg with the bat in his hand will pinch hit for LSU. First pitch, fly ball right side. See if the runners will tag up. Moore at second. Here's the throw. It's cut off by Ficacello, and runners at first and third. Excuse me, that was in there for a strike. Bregman is.
He's shocked if he's not named the National Freshman of the Year.
The 0-2 got him. Wow, nice job. Bregman doesn't strike out of 10. And your Go Tiger tattoo. Now, I mean, if you were a tattoo guy, would you rather go with the double barrel arm tattoo or maybe the ankle calf tattoo? Just throwing that out there.
I've made many mistakes in my life.
Right.
One was my freshman year in college to where I went with
You
4
could just stop
upperclassmen,
right there.
but they don't come off in the shower.
Joey Bourgeois grabs the ball for LSU. Here in the bottom of the 8th. 2.5 ERA, 31 strikeouts, 8 walks for Joey. The line, but right in to Ibarra's glove. Brian Anderson steps in, the left fielder. A moment ago. There is the strike. Strike 2. Fouled that one straight back. We'll do it again.
You know, we talked about there's plenty of depth for the Tigers, too, in that bullpen.
Popped him straight up. Who's going to make the play? Everybody's shielding their eyes from the sun. Ty Ross says he has it. Little basket catch. 2 down. First pitch laced to center field. And Stevenson makes the catch. Bourgeois gets the Hogs 1, 2, 3. 8 innings in the books. LSU coming up top of the 9th. Well, the home of the women's college softball is right here on ESPN. And tonight at 8 On ESPNU, Oregon will host Nebraska. These two teams met in the regular season. Oregon beat Nebraska 11-2. We'll see if they can do that in the postseason. Alabama and Tennessee, game 2 tonight, 5 o'clock Eastern. And how about UAB and Florida? Gators win that one 4-3. First game of that series. UAB making their first ever appearance in the Super Regionals. They'll try to make a run at a national title this year, as they have done in the past. That misses. 2-1 the count to Cat. And a leadoff walk.
Country.
Well, Ray Frimes will step in. First man to sophomore out of Prairie Grove, Arkansas. Transferred in this year from Crowder Community College. And it's 1-1 on Rhymes. Ground ball to third. Could be 2. Ficacello turns it, and they do get the double play. Here's Ibarra. He has a 2 RBI. Yeah, he does have 2 RBIs.
Believe in yourself. Let's go.
1-2 fouled straight back out of the ground ball to third. That's past the third baseman. And that'll be, let's see, here's the throw to second. Ibarra will slide in safely, and that is a double for Christian. Good afternoon. 3 hits for Christian Ibarra. Ty Ross. Mississippi State coming up next as Ross delivers one to right. And that'll be caught and gloved by Tyler Spoon. Chris Cotton saved it last night with 3 straight strikeouts. Will he make his way onto the diamonds? Stay with us. Chris Cotton trying to close it out for LSU. He got the save yesterday. Trying to do it again. This was 24 hours ago. Chris Cotton sprints into the game. 3-2 contest. All he does is just pump the strike zone. Gets 3 straight strikeouts. Paul Maneri told us today, Kyle, that was over before he could even get nervous.
Said it was reminiscent of when Notre Dame went to the College World Series back in '02. You look up, and before you know it, there's 3 quick outs, and Cotton has done plenty of that this year. On for the 32nd game. That ties Joey Bourgeois for the lead on this LSU team. 14 saves coming in, 35 1/3, just 2 walks. Great control for Cotton.
He will face Tyler Spoon to lead things off for Arkansas. Spoon will hit in the 5th spot. He has Arkansas's only hit today, and that came in the 6th inning.
You're getting
0-1 on Spoon. That one misses. Change up. 1-1 the count. That ball's hit pretty well, but right to center field. Stevenson makes the catch. 1 down.
Spoons might be put away for the day, but those spoons travel. They'll be ready to go when Arkansas hits the postseason. Another quick out for Cotton to start it.
Here's Jacob Mahan. He'll look at a first pitch strike.
give you this one. You might as well live out there. That's about 8 inches off the plate. Ross was sitting all the way out there, went out and got it. I don't blame Mahan for taking that one. It was a ball, but in an 0-2 count, you got to protect sometimes from pitches that are just off the plate. 2 quick outs for Cotton, 1 out away from sending LSU to the championship game.
Fly ball right side. This should do it. And LSU will head to the championship game. A one-hitter. Only the 3rd in SEC tournament history. And LSU wins it 3-1. And they will move on to the championship game. They will await the winner of Vandy and Mississippi State. LSU will be making their 16th SEC championship game appearance tomorrow. And coming up on ESPNU Sports Center, followed by the second SEC semifinal game, the Doors and the Bulldogs, right here from Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. So for Kyle Peterson, I'm Dave Neal. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after Sports Center.